Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Let me welcome you to the BMF Northwest Financial Planning webinar that we have termed as a financial planning workshop. I hope that you are well and you had a restful, you had a productive day after yesterday's elections, as we are continuing to observe the outcomes of yesterday's elections. Ladies and gentlemen, today's webinar focuses on financial planning as the organization that is focusing on managerial leadership and transformation as far as socioeconomic transformation is concerned. So, but now we are focusing today, the emphasis is on managerial leadership development, whereby we are now talking to our members that we are now talking to our members. We are now talking to our members that as Black Management Forum members, we need to not always focus on the transformation part of our agenda, but also we need to entertain also the welfare of our families, the welfare of our financial welfare. And by that, hence, we have organized this workshop today as we have invested our DSCs from NCR and Standard Bank to come and share their thoughts as far as matters of financial planning is concerned. We will know and understand that in most cases from the university and as well as at the primary or secondary education, these are the subjects that are not taught as much as we would like to. So we feel that we should have this dialogue to empower and empower our members as far as the finances are concerned. I won't waste much of time, but I will go straight because our speakers have requested that we give them an ample time to share their presentation with us. So we have two presentations that I will speakers that I would love to welcome right now. The first speaker will be Winnie Rabotata. She is the Education and Communication Officer at a National Credit Regulator, and her topic will then focus on managing a credit profile. And then the second speaker, before I give Winnie a space to talk, the second speaker will be Ntombiza Khona Mthethwa, Executive Financial Planner at Standard Bank. I would love to believe that these are we are all exposed to these organizations where the two colleagues are coming from. And now we will give them each 30 minutes to share the presentation and educate us on the topics as we have shared. The first one, just to as I'm giving over to Winnie, we chose managing a credit profile as we are reflecting in our finances after the COVID-19 impact that it had in our impact, where most people have lost their assets, the home, and so forth. They are unable to keep up with their monthly payments. So we will be sharing us different strategies that we can use to manage, and then also educating us on the importance of managing a positive credit, whether you are a business person or as an employee. I think somehow or other you are affected by your credit profile. So it's we deem that it's important that we take time and educate ourselves in these subjects. So Winnie will start off, and then the corner will join later. Winnie, over to you, sister.
Thank you so much, Wakising. Let me just show my face for a minute, and I hope you guys can see me. Let me just share my screen. I hope you guys can see my presentation.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Good day, everyone. Thank you so much for the invite Good evening to you, and thank you to Wahising for the invite. I really appreciate it. It's such an honor to join you guys. My name, as introduced, my name is Winnie Wakarabutata from the National Credit Regulator, also known as NCR. And today we're going to talk about credit matters. We'll also look at the financial credit wellness as well as managing a positive credit profile. But before we can get to that, let's look at the background of the NCR, the NCA, and all that. I'm sure you guys can agree with me that our credit and finances, they play a significant role in our lives and also in our economy. I mean, through credit, we can service our wants and also our needs, such as our assets as well as our liabilities. The reason why we take credit is because we don't have money. We need money, and however we don't have cash to buy that burpa that that we want or that we need. So that's the reason why we find ourselves taking all these things on credit. But however, as I've mentioned, that through credit, we can have as many assets and other variables, such as your store cards and credit cards, which falls under your credit facilities. And also your vehicles, it's secured credit. Your house is your beautiful house, it's mortgage bond, and as well as you can open your business, which falls under developmental credit. And the last one is personal loans, which is unsecured credit. But however, credit does not come cheap, and it's very easy to be over indebted. And that addiction leads to over indebtedness. Please, if you find yourself so desperate to borrow money, use registered credit providers and service providers. And most importantly, it is very important to know your credit rights as per the National Credit Act. And as we all know that rights are always paired with responsibilities and when you're using credit. So let's look at the National Credit Act. So this is Act 34 of 2005, which was introduced to promote the economic and social welfare of all South Africans and to also promote a fair and transparent credit market, to also promote you as a consumer and your rights in the credit market, and also to regulate the industry participants, which is your credit providers, everyone who's giving you credit, your credit bureaus, those people that you check your credit score, and your debt counselors, those people who assist you if you are over indebted, if and also the payment distribution agencies, and lastly, alternative dispute resolution. And also, the National Credit Act limits the cost of credit, because we all know that the cost of credit is exceptionally high. I mean, if I go and buy, we all know that Black Friday is around the corner, so a lot of things will be on sale, and if you don't have cash for it, obviously you'll be buying on credit. But then, however, it doesn't come so cheap. You end up paying more. So that's the reason why the NCA, it was introduced to limit the cost of credit by regulating the charges thereof. And lastly, to level the playing field between credit providers by standardizing the way in which credit is granted, so that consumers can compare what is offered. And the purpose of the NCA, well, is to simplify and standardize information disclosure in the credit agreements, especially when you go, and buy that car that you want at the dealership. They need to disclose everything: the amount that you are borrowing, the interest, credit life insurance, how much will the credit life insurance charge. So they need to disclose all that information in your credit agreement. And also the purpose of the NCA is to regulate the registrants to ensure compliance with the NCA. And also we ensure that the NCA ensure that all the credit products are handled in the same way by different credit providers. You don't have to go to a bank A and then you are charged a certain interest for short-term loan, and when you go to bank B, you are charged a different interest for the same type of credit that you ask for from the bank A. So NCA ensures that all the credit products are handled the same way by different credit providers, and also to assist over-indebted consumers. Over-indebted, I mentioned, it's people who are if you feel like, you know what, you can't manage your finances anymore, your debts anymore, then we say you are over-indebted, or by restructuring your debts. And also to have one regulator which regulates the credit market or the credit industry, which is us, the NCR, the National Credit Regulator. And lastly, to establish the National Consumer Tribunal. This is a consumer court, you know, to adjudicate matters related to the NCA. We will look at the role and the mandate of the NCR. So the NCR was established in June 2006, as I've mentioned, with the in accordance with the National Credit Act. One, to ensure registration of the industry players, which is your ADR, it's Alternative Dispute Resolution, PDA, Payment Distribution Agencies, credit providers. This includes our mashonisa. We register them, and our mashonisa can be anyone, as long as you are giving credit to anyone. If you are borrowing money to anyone, you are a credit provider, you are mashonisa, and you need to register with the NCR. And also the credit bureaus. Credit bureaus is, as I've mentioned them, it's people that blacklist us, that we check our credit score and also. And also, lastly, the debt counselors. And we don't only register them, but we monitor their conduct to ensure that they comply with the National Credit Act, and also to ensure that they don't take advantage of you as a consumer. We also educate and create awareness, such as the webinars that I'm doing right now, of the protection offered by the NCA. We research the credit market and its trend in a form of the two reports, CCMR and CBM, which are available on our websites. And we advise the government on policy and legislation. We receive and investigate your complaints as a consumer. If you know that there is a credit provider that over or double debited your account, or that blacklisted you, and you have been paying on time, then you can lodge a complaint with the NCR and we'll investigate that complaint. And also, we ensure that credit consumer rights are protected. And lastly, we enforce the act and take action against contravention of the NCA. And then I mentioned consumer rights, so let's just look at them. As a consumer, you have the right to apply for credit free from direct or indirect discrimination. So as Oahi is saying, you have a right to go and apply for any credit from any credit provider, free from any discrimination. No one has the right to actually discriminate you, that because you are Black, because you are Muslim, because you are green or yellow. So in that way, they wouldn't be able to give you credit. So it is within your right to apply for credit free from any discrimination. And also, sorry. Okay, so you have the right to disclosure of information. So a credit provider must provide you with a pre-agreement statement and quotation before you can sign the credit agreement. This must disclose the amount borrowed, the deposit to be paid if there's any, number of installment, interest payable, and any additional charges, and also credit life insurance. I'll get to that. The date of the first installment and the date of the last payment. Always make sure that you get a pre-agreement statement and quotation before signing, so that you are able to compare the prices, so that you can go to bank A or bank B and get all this quotation, so that you can get the best offer. And also, you as a consumer, you have the right to information in an official language that is simple, plain, and understandable. I think we are so blessed to to have 11 official, to be in a country that has 11 official languages that you can choose from, as long as you know that you can receive that information in a language that you can read and understand. Do not sign a credit agreement that you do not understand or you can't read. And also you have the right to access and challenge credit records and information held by the credit provider, a credit bureau. So if you know you have been paying your debt on time, don't, and if they call you after like 2 months and say they blacklisted you and you know you have been paying, don't just sit back and say, oh no, you know, they'll sort it out. No, challenge that. You have the right to challenge that information. If there's a judgment on your name, challenge it, and you know that you have been, and you have proved that you have been paying on time. Please challenge that information. It is within your rights. And also you have the right to confidential treatment of personal information. This is very important. So I'm sure you guys, you can attest to this. You go and buy your car or your car, and then at the dealership, and immediately after leaving that garage or dealership, you get SMSs from, you know, trackers, from insurances. Where did they get that information from? From the person that sold you that car. So it's very important for you to know that you have the right to confidential treatment. No one has the right to sell your information. And also on your credit agreement, they will have that small tick nyana, and the font will be so small to say, do you want us to share your personal information with other people? And when you ask them, what is this? They're like, no, just tick. They just know that they will sell your information to other people so that they can contact you and send you all this SMSs about their products. So please know that you have that. And also this applies to Amashonisa. You go, and especially the Black community, we have this thing of when we go to Amashonisa, we start by telling them our problems, you know, we have my husband this, my wife this, and all that. Then tomorrow at work, you hear about it. Everyone is gossiping about your problems because Mama Shonisa told the whole people, everyone who was coming to borrow money from them, that you came with the Sobi story and all that. So just know that you have the right to confidential treatment. And also you have the right to receive regular statements. And also this applies to copy of your credit agreement if you have lost it. But please know that if you go for the second time, then the credit provider has the right to charge you because now you are careless. But however, if you go for the first time, you have the right to receive a copy of your credit agreement. Always keep your credit agreement so that you can always refer back and see why these credit providers are charging you this and that. Did you agree to this? Because remember, in other credit agreements, it's 2 years, 3 years, or 5 years, or 10 years if it's a house, 20 years if it's a house. So it's very important for you to have access to your credit agreement. And also you have the right to reasons for your credit being declined. Yes, you have the right to apply for credit, but however, if you do not afford for, or you do not qualify for that credit or for that loan that you're asking, they have the right to decline it or refuse it, but they need to give you the reasons. Is it affordability? Is it because you're blacklisted? Or is it because you are under debt review or debt counseling? They need to give you reasons. It's within your right. And also you have the right to assistance when you are over indebted. If Okamagiri Koloto, you have the right to be assisted by a registered debt counselor. And the last one is you have the right to automatic removal of adverse credit information. This includes your judgments and all those kind of things. I'm sure you guys know, I'm sure all of us, most of us are credit active. So credit active, it means you have credit on your name. If you don't, congratulations. But if you are not, it means you are credit active. And as I've explained that, you know, a person, there's a difference between cash and credit. Obviously, a person who's paying cash, a Black Friday, I've mentioned Black Friday is around the corner. Please, let's buy things that we need, not things that we want. And do not buy on credit because you will be paying more, as per the example there on the screen. And let's look at the difference between good debt and bad debt. So when we talk about good debt and bad debt, we talk about your liabilities, your assets versus your liabilities, your needs versus your wants. So anything that appreciates in value, it's a good debt. But anything that depreciates in value, it's a bad debt. But let's look at the definition. So a good debt is a necessary debt that is incurred when you borrow money to purchase essential items such as your educational loan, to further your studies, your beautiful house, your business, and other things as well. But then, however, a bad debt, it's that unnecessary one, and it's usually taken to finance something that you don't really need, or that you should be able to pay for in cash, if you have budgeted properly, just such as your luxury items. So here's an example of your good debt and bad debt. We have on good debt, we have mortgage, which is your house. Education is your loan, educational loan, business ownership, real estate investing. And on the other side, the bad debt, you can see it's even red to show it's danger. Do not take it. We have your credit cards, you have cash advances, we have your car. I always say that a car, it's it's a necessity, but it becomes a luxury when you buy a car that you can't afford. You know that you are getting 20,000 and you have other things, financial obligation, but you want that beautiful Mercedes Benz, you want that Vorpa. So it becomes a luxury. And we have, consumer debt and payday loans. We know people who are always living on payday loans. So let's look at the cost associated with your credit. I mean, I've mentioned, you have seen that example. For cash, it's 6,000, but then if you take it on credit, it's 9,000. Why it's 9,000? So let's look at it. I'm sure we use them, but do we understand those terms? So the following cost may be levied under the credit agreement. So we have your sorry. We have your interest. So interest is the amount that the credit provider charges you as the consumer on the outstanding balance, right? And interest is always calculated using a percentage, which is called the interest rate. And then I'm sure we know the interest rate for short-term loan. Short-term loan, it's any loan that is not more than 8,000, and the repayment period is 6 months. So it's 5%. And those ones are from our mashonisa, and then they always charge us 100% or 50%. They're not allowed to do that. It's 5%. 5% for short-term loans. And then we have initiation fee. Initiation fee is a fee that a credit provider charges you, consumer, for entering into that credit agreement with you. So you are only liable to pay for this fee only if you enter into a credit agreement. If you decide to say, I am taking this car, I am taking this account, this phone on contract and all that. But if you are not, they are not allowed to charge you initiation fee. And then we have monthly service fees. I'm sure you have seen them on your statements. So you need to understand how much are they allowed to charge you. So the service fees that the credit provider charges you for servicing and maintaining the credit agreement, and they can only charge this monthly. And the service fee that can be charged on per month is 60 rand, VAT exclusive of VAT, and it's not more than that, it's not less than that, it's 60 rand. And the maximum one for the per annum is 720. So please check your statements, and if you are properly charged for this monthly service fees, because this credit providers, they are overcharging us because we don't know these things. And we have credit life insurance. Ooh, this is very important, guys. So credit life insurance is the insurance. We know we have insurance for phone, for our house, for our cars, and this is specifically for that debt. And so it's an insurance which can be required by the credit provider to say, I need an assurance from me that I will get this money, that I will get this money that I'm borrowing you, then I will get this loan from you. So it's credit life insurance, and it's very important because it covers the debt due to the credit provider in terms in case of retrenchment. If you as a consumer you get retrenched, and we know what the COVID has affected a lot of people, and a lot of people received salary cuts, retrenchments, and others they actually you know they lost their loved ones due to credit COVID-19. So it's very important for you to check if you have credit life insurance, and also in case of disability. So the credit life insurance will pay for iskoloto sa gago. And other costs that we have, it's default charges. So default charges is a charge that the credit provider may charge you as a consumer when you are in arrears, meaning that you have been defaulting, you have been missing payments. All right. If last month you didn't pay that account, or for your house, for your car, or you reverse, because there are people that always reverses their installments. You know, they are debts. I don't know why, but they live on that. So this is default. They will charge you that. And we have collection cost. Collection, it's just the cost that the credit provider incurs when attempting to collect the outstanding. So if you have been missing payments, those phone calls that we are always, the private calls that we are always ignoring. No, it's kiri koloto. No, don't answer that. Oh, I know it's Mashonisa. He wants his money, or it's the bank. What they want their money. Please note that they will charge you on that for collection. So each and every time when they call you, you don't answer, they charge you that. And also, you know, even the SMSs that you always ignore, the letter of demand, they will charge you on that. It's called collection costs. And let's look at, I mentioned that we as the NCR, we research and we give out the statistics. So let's look at the statistics as per our reports, CCMR and CBM. So according to our reports, we have 22 million credit active consumers. So these are the people that have credit, that are owing, you know. So it's 26 million, and out of that 26 million credit consumers, the ones that are paying, that are in good standing, those who are not missing their payment, they're 16.14 million. And those that are not paying well, that are impaired, that are in red, that are missing their payment, it's 10.07 million. So I don't know where you are right there. Are you in good standing? Are you in impaired, in red? So only you know that. And the total consumer debt, so this is how much we owe, all our debts, it's 2.05 trillion rand. So this is how much we owe as the whole nation, or as the whole South Africa. So each and every debt that we have, it's 2.05 million. And for consumers who have accessed credit reports, guys, this is very important, hey, because how are you gonna manage your a positive credit profile if you haven't even seen your credit report, if you don't even know what a credit report looks like? So please know that you have a right to receive one free credit report from any registered a credit bureau once a year. So you can go to, we have 14, you can go to all of those 14, and so that you are able to check. And one of the advantages of knowing where you stand with your credit or regularly checking your credit report is you will be able to see if you are a victim of identity fraud. Identity fraud is when you have lost your ID or someone stole it, and then they go and open account on your name. So you'll be able to tell, to spot that and challenge it with the credit bureau before they can blacklist you. That's how you manage a positive credit profile, by accessing your credit report regularly. And also, lastly, the number of consumers who has disputed information. These are the people that challenged any information in their credit report. It's plus or minus 30K, guys. So please check your I mean, out of the 26.22 million credit consumers, only 500 people access their credit report. I mean, you need to see how are you gonna know if your credit score is good, and how you can even improve it. I mean, the only way that you can, it's for you to access your credit report. So let's look at the over indebted. I've mentioned that credit doesn't come cheap, and if we are not careful, it's so easily for us to be over indebted. So let's look at this over indebtedness. What is over indebted? So you as a consumer, I've mentioned it when people are calling you left and right and center, you are locking yourself in your house because, hey, you know, you are owing everyone, then you are over indebted. But let's look at the definition. So as a consumer, you are considered to be over indebted if the money available after payment of essential expenses is not enough to pay all your other debts. So that means if your income is less than your expenses, so meaning that your expenses are more than your income, then you are over indebted. Let's look at the causes. What causes over indebted? It's lack of information, overindulgence, living in the first class lounge. We know people who are, they are living the life on social media, trying to impress people they don't even know, but then they are always taking these things on credit, they're always borrowing. So these are one of the causes of over indebted. And ignorance of financial products. I'm sure that Zakona will mention the different financial products. Lack of proper planning, social pressures, especially from our families. Black tax, it's part of this, the causes of over indebted, especially if you are a breadwinner in the family, and everyone, you know, they are expecting now, Christmas is around the corner, they're expecting you to go and take Christmas clothes for you know, their niece, their nephews, you know, the sisters and all that. So peer social pressures and change in circumstances. If you get divorced, retrenched, and if someone or your partner they die, and now you are the only breadwinner, so that can cause over indebtedness. And reckless lending is when a credit provider just borrows you money without doing the affordability assessment. You know that you're getting your income is 10,000 rand, but then they are allowing you to borrow 50,000. How are you going to pay that 50,000 with 10,000 salary? So those are the things that causes over indebted. And economic upswing, we know that the interest rate, you know, and now we've been so lucky because it hasn't increased in such a long time, especially the repo rate. Sorry, I wanted to say the repo rate. So we are so lucky, but then we know that the increase in the interest rates can actually cause the over indebted. And the last one, greed and blind faith. Greed and blind faith. Oh, we are so greedy. Then the signs, how do you know that you are over indebted? You borrow money to pay other loans. You skip payments on some accounts in order to pay others. We know other people. And you receive letters of demand and summons from creditors, but you ignore them. You're always thinking of being placed under debt administration and debt counseling. And you always have judgment passed against you. And you're always absent from work, especially towards month end, because and other credit providers, they want their money. So you don't want to face anyone during month end. And also regularly feels emotionally stressed about money matters. When you think about your problems, your money problems, you are always so stressed, then it might be a sign of over indebted. Lastly, you're always losing money to rip-offs and scams, especially those competitions that you know you didn't enter a competition, but you are busy going to ShopRite to deposit money so that you can claim that 1 million. I mean, how can you win a competition you didn't enter for? Even those ones where they say, there's someone who died at your family, and then they have all this money, the retirement or something, and then you believe those people. They are scams, guys. Please stay away from those people. Also, and your WhatsApp stock fell please, you can verify if they are registered or not with the FSCA. I will leave the numbers as well. And the signs of debt addiction. How do you know that you are addicted to debt? You're always making excuses, always seem to find an excuse to buy something. At this weekend, it's after tears. For someone you don't even know, that person who died, you don't even know, but you want to buy an outfit, and you have more than 2 store or credit cards. Yo, guys, please, this is actually a credit card. We mentioned that it's a bad debt. And mounting unpaid bills, you fail to make minimum payments on your store or credit cards each and every month, and you're always opening new cards accounts rather than paying the existing ones. You don't keep track on how much you really owe your credit providers. You only see the items to buy. You don't even care who you owe, and you're not saving for rainy days or retirement, living in credit. Sorry. Sorry, guys. And then also living by paycheck to paycheck until month end. Lastly, you use one card to pay off another debt. We all know those kind of people. They are in our families. They are our colleagues. We know them. So the consequences of over-indebtedness, employment exclusion in the financial sector. One, no, if you are not going to deal with finances, no one has the right to exclude you, that no, we can't hire you because you're blacklisted. Never. Or you are under debt counseling. Never. Only if you will be dealing with finances, or you'll be working for a financial sector. Like Zakona works for Standard Bank. I don't think they will hire her if she was blacklisted or under debt review. So those are, but if your position is receptionist or an administrator or anything that doesn't even require finances, no one has the right to exclude you. We have a circular on our website about that. And also stress, underperformance, unhappiness. Well, you're always upset at work because of over-indebted. When you think about your problems, you don't even want to go to work. And also it may lead to abuse, substance abuse. Other people, they take drugs to deal with their problems. Please note that we live within your means, guys. Spend less than you earn. You cannot borrow your way out of the debt. You cannot. And also a lifestyle change and review. It's very important to review your lifestyles. Don't even try to impress people that you don't know. Even if you have to deactivate your social media, do that, as long as you can get out of that situation that you are in. And remember, no is an answer. When they call you and tell you that you qualify for 50,000 loan, or for that legit account, you will pay 50 rand per month, say no, guys. It's still an answer. Don't even feel bad. And let's look at the debt management, how you can manage your debt effectively. Budget, you plan long and short term. It doesn't matter, just budget. Pay your accounts on time and full. This, you know why? This is one of the ways to actually manage a positive credit profile, because if you, on your credit agreement, you signed that you will be paying your account on the 25th, don't pay it on the 26th, don't pay it on the 27th, don't pay it on the 25th, the date that you agreed on. If you do not do that, if you don't pay it on time and you don't pay it in full, then you will be listed as a slow payer and it will affect your credit score. Please note that it will affect. People will come, they will always call us our calls, or send us our emails on info@ncr.org.za. They'll say, but then last month I checked my credit score, it was 600, but this month it's 550. Why? Because of these things, these small things. You know that you are supposed to pay 150 on that account that you have on the 25th, but you pay 100 rand and you paid after the 25th. You are listed and it affects your credit score. And advantages of having a good credit score is that you will get a good interest rate if you apply for credit. So consumers, they always get this so wrong. I always say, please, even if you can pay on before the 25th, but don't pay after, don't, because you'll be listed as a slow payer and it affects you. There's so many little things that affect your credit score that that you feel like, you know what, these are not important, but they are very important. And also, do not ignore letters of demand. Hey, it's again, especially the Black community at home, like, hey, don't even open that letter. Don't even answer that private number. Don't even do this and that. Please, guys, it's very important. Answer. If you know who you've been retrenched, if you know you have received salary cut, if they call you and say you haven't been paying your account, what, answer and explain to them, okay, I received a salary cut, where can I send the proof? Then in that way, they'll give you an option to restructure your debt. So instead of paying that 2,000 that you were paying for that loan or for that car of yours, they'll say, okay, let's restructure back. You will be paying 1,000 rand until you are at a position where you are able to pay that 2,000 back. So if you're not answering their phone calls, they will be listing you at the credit provider, credit bureau, and it affects your credit score. You see how simple it is for you to get a low credit score. So please, guys, do not ignore those letters of demand. And if you can't pay, contact your service provider or credit provider. Do it immediately. If you know that, you know what, I just got a letter of retrenchment, please contact your credit providers immediately. Make arrangements with them. As a remember, I said you have the right to be assisted when you are over indebted. When you can pay for your debts, you have the right to be assisted. So please, guys, contact them. And then also, lastly, always remember that cash is king. If you don't have cash for it, you don't need it. This is my motto in life. So if I don't have cash for it, I don't need it. So let's look at the debt relief measures during COVID-19 pandemic. So if you have been affected by COVID-19 and you know your partner or your mother, they've been affected, please tell them about this option. We have credit life insurance. I've mentioned that credit life insurance is an insurance which will be required by the credit provider when you apply for credit. So it will assist you, it will cover your debt when you are in certain cases such as retrenchment, disability, or even death. Your death, God forbid, if you pass on, then credit life insurance will pay. So at least you know that your family will be sorted. That house, there won't be the house won't be repossessed, or the car won't be taken away by the credit provider. We have clear debt counseling or debt review. I'm sure it's this one. This one unfortunately requires an income. So unfortunately, without that income, you wouldn't be able to apply for debt counseling. It's when a registered debt counselor negotiates on your behalf and say, okay, well, he's saying they can't pay for their debts due to COVID-19. So let's restructure their debts. So instead of you paying for that car, it was 5,000 and the bond it's 10,000. So there will be reducing all those monthly installments until you are able to breathe, then you are able to pay well for your debt without any assistance from the debt counselor. And also it will assist you because it protects you from any legal action from the credit provider. So debt counseling, with debt counseling, no credit provider will come and repossess your car or your house, or they will evict you and say, yeah, you haven't been paying. So it protects you from any legal action. No credit provider will come and say, now you haven't been paying, get out. We need to sell this car at an auction. Then we have surrendering of goods. So surrendering of goods, it's you saying, you know what, I can't afford, I won't afford to pay this part of mine anymore because I've received a salary cut from my employer. Then you go and surrender. You take back the car to the credit provider so that they can sell it at an auction so that you can settle off your debt. And I've mentioned it's credit life insurance. It's in cases of retrenchment or loss of income, disability, and death. And then debt counseling is a process intended to help restructure debt obligation of consumer who cannot pay their debt. And then surrendering, you can check it on our National Credit Act for more information. It's section 127. And then even the process, you need to have a written notification to the credit provider if you want to surrender or take back your car or your house or whatever that you bought. And then let's look at the bad credit record. Okay, so the credit bureaus and credit information. So you, as a consumer, you have the right to be informed that the credit provider intends to report negative information. So this is, you need to be informed if you'll be blacklisted. You can't wake up and say you are blacklisted. No, you will be informed and say the credit provider so-and-so or bank 1, 2, and 3 intends to report you or report any negative information about you to a credit bureau. And this is within 20 business days. So please, guys, know your rights, know your rights. Hence, I said no one has the right to just blacklist you in jail for not. They will let you know. They will send you an SMS or an email or call you. And if you don't answer those calls, then it's up to you, but they have informed you. And also you have the right to challenge information kept by the credit bureau if you are unhappy with it. I've mentioned this, that if you know that you have been paying and then they are telling you that you are blacklisted, you have the right to challenge that information. And also for your information to be kept confidential. So no one has the right to actually take your information from a credit bureau and say, yeah, and then call you and say, yeah, I see that you are blacklisted. I can assist you to pay this. No, report these people to NCR. They have no right to do that. And also no prospective employer, I mentioned this, has the right to do a credit bureau check, because especially you guys hear me?
Yes, Winnie. We are
okay,
breaking.
you can hear me? Okay,
Yeah,
okay. Okay, I'm finishing now. So the importance of checking your credit report, I've mentioned, see what creditors, these are your credit providers, see about your credit health, right? And also, it's very important to check your credit report because of your personal details. There are so many things that the credit bureaus will mix. They'll say you are a male when you are a female. They say you were born 1980. You were born 1990. So please, it's very important for you to check all those things, and also check for negative data. So very important as well. If you are a victim of identity fraud, you did not open for that account, you have the right to challenge that information. And also to see who's looking into your credit record, you can see that, right? There are so many people who are always checking our credit reports. They have no right to do that. Only the credit providers who, if you go and open for credit, then they have the right to check your credit report, because they want to see how how you have been paying. They want to see your history. Can I trust you as Bank A to give you this amount that you are asking for? Let me see how you have been paying other people. And lastly, to ensure you are not a victim of identity theft. I've mentioned that. So you can contact any of the bureaus below here. I will leave this information at the end of the presentation. You can actually, these are the biggest. So there's those small ones who get their information from this one, who rely on this biggest. So TransUnion, we all know that it was previously ITC, then Experian, SDS, Consumer Profile Bureau, and Very important for you to know this, because you have the right to know, to get your free credit report. And then we have what we call prescribed debt. I'm sure you have heard this. No, your debt has prescribed. No, it is so batho ba nagana gore sekoloto sa bola asiboli, guys, asiboli. The prescribed debt it means for for the 3 years you haven't been paying, you have never made or been summoned by the credit provider for this debt. And then also for the past 3 years you have not acknowledged the debt by verbal or written communication, then it will prescribe. Lastly, you have neither made any payment or promised to pay towards the outstanding debt, then it's called prescribed debt. You can also check it on our NCA for more information. And also, we know people who are selling. We know there's so many fraud in this country. There are people who will sell, the prescribed debt, and just know that it's prohibited. If you know correct you have a prescribed debt on your credit report, no one has the right to call you and say no, your debt has been, or your account has been handed over to what collection or collectors. Now we are here to collect. No, it's prohibited. They are not allowed to do that. So before I close off, the question to ask yourself, where am I today? Where do I want to be tomorrow? And how do I get there? So those are the questions that you need to ask yourself regarding your finances. And if there are no questions, I will hand it over to Singh. I hope I didn't take time.
Thank you, Winnie, for such an informative presentation. You have overlapped for the budgeted time, but I could not stop because of the value of the information that you were sharing with us. That I also believe that it was of value to the audience as well. Colleagues, without waste of time, the Q&A session will be done after the second presentation. So the second presentation will focus on the importance of estate planning. This topic was brought about given what we are exposed to in our communities, in our families, where there are normally issues that arises when one family member or a member of the community deceased, and then there are you only to find that there were no thorough preparations or the wills and so forth that were in place to safeguard the interest of the beneficiary, the correct beneficiaries. So the next speaker is Zakhona Mthethwa, the executive financial planner at Standard Bank, will now be sharing with us on that topic, and then afterwards we will then have a discussion. And then also, colleagues, may I also make you aware that you may share your questions in the chat box, so, and then we will note them. Thank you. Over to you, Zakhona.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much for such an amazing opportunity to address such. I wouldn't say it's a good topic, to be honest. Lately with COVID, people are just dying left, right, and center. But also, it also gives us pleasure to just educate our people with such matters. And thank you very much for having me. I will then share my screen. Please, I will have to close this video. Ne? Just let me know when you can see it.
No, I can see it now. We can see it now. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So as I was saying, estate planning is one of the pillars that we look at when we draft your comprehensive financial planning. So what falls part under estate planning is whereby we look at will drafting. Will is a legal document whereby you just, distribute your asset while you're still alive, whereby you tell us who wants to get what, you understand? So it's we look at will drafting, and also we look at trust creation. We look at appointment of an executor. We look at guardian nomination. There are other parts whereby we can also look like nominating a power of attorney. nominating a healthcare power of attorney. Those ones we hardly look at, but I think the most important ones are those four that are there on the screen. So maybe before, what I'll do right now is just to go through one of this part of estate planning. Like, first of all, when you look at drafting a will, we often get people saying to us, I'm not going to draft a will, I'm not rich. You don't need to be rich to have a will. You don't need to have money to have a will. The minute you start accumulating assets, you need to draft a will. That's number one. Number two, if you've got minors, you need to have a will in place, because should something happen to you, who's going to look after your kids? Should something happen to you, who's going to get your assets? So the first thing we look at is drafting your will for you. Many institutions, most banks, you can after a will with them. There are so many institutions, but the best solution is for you to contact your financial advisor, and then you guys can sit down and then see where can you then start in drafting your will. And then also, when you draft a will, another thing you need to look at is also, where do you want to keep your will? Because it's very important to put your will whereby people can get it. Number one, and number two, let's say you choose to take your copy, to take the original and give your copy with the bank, like, who will know where to find that will? Do you have a safe at home? And all those things. Those are the things you need to take into account when you once you've drafted your will. Then we also look at trust creation. So another point whereby people always think that you need to be rich to have a trust. If you've got minors and you've got assets, you've got life covers, you can use a trust to protect their assets, because then then the trust can be a good vehicle whereby they can just pay for their living expenses. Then once they're at a certain age, then they can be able to get the lump sum. And also it can help you protect your asset from tax. So trust creation, we look at that. And also appointment of an executor. So first of all, what is an executor? So an executor will be someone who will assist in winding up your estate, like paying off your debt, as Winnie was mentioning, the debt, and making sure that your debts are settled, and making sure that also the assets are distributed correctly. But also there is a fee for an executor to be paid. And also we look at also a guardian nomination. Should you die, like, who's going to be a guardian for your kids? Are you married? Are you not married? And also when you look at guardian nomination, the person you choose, it needs to be someone you know that their values and their beliefs are in line with your values. You wouldn't mind your kids to be, your children to be raised by that person, or maybe you like their way of living. Then that's the person you can nominate as a guardian for your kids. Usually say, and estate planning is an important and an everlasting gift you can give to your family. I couldn't agree with her more, because that's one thing we always miss as black people, is that it's only white people who can do these things, or it's only rich people who can do these things. Then we die, and then our kids are left struggling. Our families are fighting. I think with COVID, we learned so many things, that some of the things we don't take seriously in life, they end up affecting us a lot later on in life. So, like, when you look now, so now, why is estate planning so important? So the first point I would think mention is, you want to make sure that your wealth, your hard work, goes to the right people. You cannot hustle. You cannot work Monday to Saturday or Monday to Sunday only to find that your wealth end up going to the wrong people. So that's why we always say estate planning is very crucial in your financial planning. And also, you might find that you've got now this estate, you've got these assets, because you often find people saying, I've got properties, I've got money, I don't need a life cover, or I don't need a cash in the bank. But then now, let's say we're winding up your estate. If you don't have liquidity in your estate, then the executor will end up being forced to sell you one of your assets for cash. Because then if you don't have liquidity in your estate, if you don't have cash, what we mean about liquidity, we mean about cash. If you don't have cash to pay for the administration of the fee, to pay for your liabilities, to pay for all these expenses, then we'll end up being forced to sell some of your assets. And also another point, we're trying to eliminate family fights. People fight for assets that don't belong to them. Like, people fight, they hate each other, they shoot each other, they do all these crazy things for things that are not theirs, for things that they did nothing for. They never sweated, like they never shed a sweat getting those assets, but they end up fighting for that. So for you to protect, to prevent, and also making sure that you are, like, your beneficiaries assets are protected. You don't want your kids to lose their assets just because you didn't think about these things while you were still alive. And also making sure that you've got enough funds to settle your liabilities, or to settle the liabilities of the estate should something also happens to you. So let's say now you decide not to have your estate planning in place, or rather to not have a will in place. So what's going to happen to your estate? So we usually hear people saying your money will go to the government. Contrary to public belief, the estate does not inherit your asset. They don't. However, your assets will be distributed under the Interstate Succession Act, which means your assets will be distributed by blood relationships. So if, let's say now, just to give you guys a graph example of this. So if, let's say I've got Joe dies without a will, then his assets will be distributed between the wife and the kids. So if Joe is not married and the wife, then the assets will then be distributed to the parents. If the parents are also no longer there, if Joe has no wife, no children, and his father also passed away, then the mother would inherit 50% of his estate, and then the father of his father's side, and then the other share will then be split among the siblings. So if, let's say now Joe has no wife, no children, and both parents passed away, then the siblings would then get the equal share of the estates. So as in cases whereby there are no wife, no children, no parents, nobody, and also nobody come and claim your estates, and then after 30 years, then their estate will then be forfeited to the government. That is the only instance whereby the government might then say they take or they have a share of the estate. But chances are very slim that all these instances will happen, and nobody also comes forward also to claim from your estate. So let's say also you don't have a will in place, then the interstate succession will go on, and also some of the things that will happen, there will be so many delays in the winding up of your estate. That's number one. And also your minors, they won't be able to claim their money. They won't be able to have to get the money because they're still minors. Then that money will be paid to the guidance fund. I don't know if you guys have experience with the guidance fund. If you don't have the experience with the guidance fund, then I'm just telling you now, claiming from them is just a pain. Getting money from them is just a mission. So you'll forever have your kids, or your kids will forever go through stress for them to get money from the guidance fund. So make sure that you don't put your children through all the stress. So another point, your wealth can go to the wrong people. You might find that you've got a brother that you hardly talk to. You might find that you've got a father who never supported you or did anything for you. But then just because you didn't do the right thing while you're still alive, then those people will end up benefiting from your estate. So that's why we always say estate planning is very crucial. Like, it's one of the pillars of financial planning that is overlooked, like that is underlooked, sorry, but it's very important, because then this is where you protect your assets. This is where you make sure that your sweat and your wealth goes to the right people. So now, as I've mentioned earlier on, so after drafting your will, what do you then do? Like, what do you do with your will? First of all, you've got an option to take the copy or the original. It is up to you. It's just that some people, sometimes they don't want to pay the safe custody fee. They end up taking the original. But then if you take the original and then you lose it, or the executor or the next of kin, they don't know where to find it, then it will be hard for the because the masters of high court will only accept the original will. So it's very important, even though they can look at the copy, it's just that they'll have to go through several steps to prove that this is a valid and a recent will. And also, should you choose to kin and the executor, they know where to find mattress, make sure you keep it safe, whereby they will know where to find it. I think for me, that is all that I have for you guys today. And then I will take questions during the questions and answers. Thank you very much. Johnny?
Thank you for such an informative. Yes, are you able to hear me? Thank you, Zako.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, thank you, Zakona, for such an informative. Did we ought to take appropriate steps in making sure that all assets that we accumulate during our lifetime, they are left in good hands, and to avoid repeating the same mistake that we have witnessed happening in our communities or families. Colleagues, I will now go on to the next session, which is a Q&A session. We are having an interactive session now. You can comment, share your question, and then also you can also press a button, a request to speak, where you'll be given an opportunity to ask your question. Firstly, I see as I going through the chat box from Mr. Kyobakile. If you were once under debt review, later you are declared or paid up all your debts and received a clearance certificate, you then qualify for a new credit with other creditors. Can all creditor use that fact that you were once under review to disqualify you or your application? I think this one is directed to Winnie. Colleagues, please bear with me. I'm struggling with it's a load shedding, and then network is also a challenge. Thank you.
Thank you, Akhiseng. Well, I think I did answer. I said to Kubakile, no, they have no right to use that to decline your application. Remember, if you were under debt review, you need to get a clearance certificate that you will be sending to the credit bureau so that they can remove the debt review or debt cancelling flag from your name. Then once it's been removed, then you are able to apply for credit again. And that's the reason why the clearance certificate is important, because without the clearance certificate, you wouldn't be cleared from the credit bureaus, and you won't apply for credit again. So they have no right to do that. So go back, sorry, if you have proof that they declined, please, I'll give you my email address. Send it to me so that I can forward it to a complaints department, because credit providers, they are not allowed to do that. As I've mentioned, that you have the right to be assisted if you are over indebted by a registered credit debt counselors. So they're not allowed to decline your application if you were once under debt review. And also please note that if you have paid any debt, let's say you had your car or a clothing account, right? Then you settled it off. It won't immediately disappear from your credit profile or your credit report. It won't. Usually it stays there for 3 to 5 years, even though it shows that it has been closed, but it stays there for references for other credit providers. So same goes to that review. It will show that you were once, not you are still, you were once under debt review, but you are no longer, because you received a clearance certificate. Thank you. I hope I made sense.
And thank you for such it's a comprehensive answer. And I believe it was also relevant to other audience. Okay, I will now jump to, I think this one is to the second subject. Zakhona, what's the distinct difference between a will and a trust? Can a trust also be contested as well as a will can? Zakhona?
Thank you very much for that question. First, okay, so a will is it's a legal document whereby you just document your wishes and your dying wishes and how you want. Trust, it's where you can, it's like a trust, put your assets under. So the two are different. A will is the legal document, right? You can just put whatever wishes you've got, or however you want your trust to be, your asset to be distributed. Then now, when you go to a trust, then this is an entity now. It's a different entity from the will. So this is one whereby now you can put your asset under it. They can put your asset under a trust. It can have trustees, people managing it, people making sure that the asset, it's administered right. It goes to the taxes are paid. The minors, they get to pay they get money to pay their living expenses. Yes, and then the second question. What was the second question? Sorry. I just explained the difference between the two, and then I thought I think you had two questions.
Yes. Can a trust also be contested as a will?
That one I am not sure if it can be contested as a will, because the trust, it's not like now you're distributing your assets. It's an entity that you have assets. It's like me, I can Zai as a trust. It's like me, Zai as a trust. Then now under Zai's name, I've got assets in that trust. So I don't believe it can be contested like a will, but I stand to be corrected. But I don't believe it can be contested like a will.
Okay, thank you. Still on you, Zakhona. The second question directed to you from Nobahle, Nondoda. Yes. I would like to know from Zakhona, can you create a will without the help of a financial advisor or a bank?
Yes, you can create a will. We can use the attorney to create a will. You can draft you can draft your will with the attorney, as long as it meets the requirement. There are requirements of drafting a valid will. You must have eligible witnesses. You must also be eligible to draft a will. So yes, you can draft. You don't need a financial advisor to draft it. Actually, you can even draft it with the attorney.
Oh, thank you, Zakhona. I will perhaps come back to you again. Winnie, a question for you from Hadi. Hello, Winnie. How does Winnie, how does one handle an issue where a contract comes to an end with a service provider, but you continue to debit your account? Although you through many attempts, you try to completely
cancel the contract. Is it me or Akhiseng is gone?
Also, yeah, I can't hear him also on my
Okay.
side.
He did mention that he has load shedding problems. So I will just answer you, Kadi, because I can see your email, your question. Thank you so much for your question. One, your contracts, it's a problem, especially when you have to cancel it. It's always a nightmare. But however, if you have tried to cancel it and you have proof, please send that to our complaints. I've left my email address and also our complaints. Will need proof that you have tried to cancel it, because they are not allowed to charge you if you have tried to cancel it. And number two, I think you said, how do I go on about the letter of demand, because I keep reversing the payment. Okay, so we have what we call the banking ombud. Ne? The banking ombud, they will assist you with the debit order. So please, I think it's, I don't know their email address, but if you can Google the banking ombud, they deal with everything that has to do with debit orders and the banks and all this kind of things. Because remember that these people are not supposed to be debiting because you have tried to cancel, right? And when you reverse, it means that you don't want these people to contact you. I remember I had that problem with those 100 rand. Remember the 99 company that was debiting on our account. And I contacted the banking ombud and I told them that, you know what, these people have been debiting my account. I have no business with them. Same goes to you. You have no business with the CV provider. You have ended, the contract has ended, so they have no right to debit. But however, it's our issue and the banking ombud. So please send me an email and CC. I'll send you our complaints our complaints form so that we can start investigating your complaint. I'm sorry for that. I know the struggle. I know how crazy it is to just cancel the contract. And if they keep on thinking, as long as you have proof that you have tried to cancel, please send it to me. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Winnie. Sorry, colleagues. The network is really a challenge here. I don't know if from the audience I see a question from Nobuhle. I don't know if you were answered, ma'am. If not, please you may request to speak and then make your question clearer. Winnie, on I think this one will come from my side. How long does one need to wait in order for their records to be their adverse information to be removed from the, what do you call it, ITC?
Okay, thank you for that question, Wahiseng. It's very important. Okay, one, if you were blacklisted, if you were blacklisted or if you were under that review or you had judgment, it only takes 21 working days for them to remove that information. So as I've mentioned with that counseling, they can't just remove you, based on what you just told them or send an email, please remove. They will need a clearance certificate. Then it will take 21 days. But however, don't just sit back and say, Winnie said it takes 21 days. So after 21 days, I know it will be, I'll be cleared. No, make follow-ups, because one, the credit, any other company anyway, especially with the COVID-19, people are working at my company. We work on a rotational schedule. So the backlog, it's too much. So don't expect them to come back to you and say, okay, it's now cleared. No, make a follow-up, check your credit profile. Is that judgment gone? Am I not, did they clear me from being blacklisted? Or debt canceling. So it's your responsibility as a consumer to make sure that you are cleared, whether it's any judgment, any adverse information, that canceling or whatever. So it takes 21 working days, but obviously due to COVID, it might take more, but then don't be discouraged and say, you know what, I knew it, they will take forever. It's your credit profile, it's your credit score. And also compare your credit score each and every month. When you check your credit score, write it down. Don't just get your credit report and then after that you throw it away. No, just check so that you are able to compare. Okay, but last month it was 550, now why is it like 600, and I've been paying on time, I've been paying what is needed, so that you can challenge this information. Because remember, how the credit bureaus, they can put you, they can do things. So that's the reason why it's so important for you to always check your credit profile, so that for any information that is incorrect, you are able to challenge it. But just to answer your question, it takes 21 working days.
Once more, Winnie. Colleagues, we are left with 5 minutes to this session. I don't know, from Itumeleng, can you please check if there's anyone who wants to make maybe to make a comment through speaking? While waiting for that, Zakona, I see your hand.
Okay, Johnny, I think I just want to answer no bullshit. I think by the time you asked the question, you had said you used trust. She was saying she's asking regarding a trust, right? So just to answer her, first of all, we've got two types of trust. I'm just gonna use the easiest name so that it's easy for her also to remember. We've got the living trust and also alive me, so dead trust, let me just put it like that. So the first one, is still alive. Anyone can create it as long as you've got asset to transfer to that trust code. It is a legal. It is also a legal entity, and also the reason you're creating it is for you to put some assets, to transfer some assets and the trust. So there it involves the Masters of High Court. It involves the Masters of High Court. You must have the letter of authority for you to be able to do that. I'm not sure if you can do it on your own, Nobuhle, but I know that it mostly we use the attorneys. I work closely with so if they say you want to draft it on your own without the help of the financial advisor, the attorney, or the bank, I'm not sure how to go about doing that. Then the other one, the one that is created once you're no longer alive, that one, then it will only kicks in once you are dead. Then that's when the asset then will be transferred into the trust. I don't know if you are answered.
Okay, no, thank you, Zakona. I think we have addressed the question accordingly now. Colleagues, I believe that if in the absence of any further questions, we will now work towards closing the session. We have budgeted until 7:30 as our administrators, coordinators at the office, they are also need to be released. Can I then request Dr. Simmons to come and do our closing remarks and also give thanks of vote of thanks to our guest, and then also in my part in short to say thank you for everyone who has joined, and also my dear sisters for making your time and also preparing such an informative presentation. Okay, colleagues, let me just wrap it up. Thank you, Winnie, for your time, presentation, and also I believe that you will share the content of the presentation with us and then the contact details so that the audience may be able to share and may be able to make a contact with the NCR. And then Zakon as well, thank you for your time and also sharing us with such an informative presentation on estate planning. And I believe that we are what we take from this session is that from estate planning is that we need to make sure that we always put our affairs in order more particularly given the recent experience of Corona, that tomorrow is not guaranteed. And then also from the credit, managing a credit profile, also we need to pay attention to details, colleagues. I think that's what I will take from both presentations, that if we pay attention to details and then also make sure that we regularly review our profiles, so it will be very useful for us in the long run, in also ensuring that we don't become victim of the uh, the the corruption that is happening around the crime that is happening around the credit industry. Also, colleagues, let me thank you, and then also thank the audience who have taken their time to form part of this discussion. Those who have asked questions, I believe that this session was very valuable to you towards your affairs, financial affairs, and then even tomorrow you will join us. With that, colleagues, please remember that if you have any question and you also wish to affiliate with Black Management Forum Northwest, you may send an email to bmfnw at bmfonline.ac.za. So now I'm confused with the work domain. But with that, colleagues, thank you, and tomorrow.